Hello fellow leggers, thank you for joining us once again. We are in London at one of our most favourite venues. I say this every time, it's the Almeida Theatre.
It's beautiful, it's friendly, and it's responsible for some world-class theatre.
Big shows.
Reviews are already out for this one, guys. Quite excited. It's the Doctor playing here with the one, the only, the glorious Juliet Stevenson.
So as usual, stick around to hear all of our thoughts.
Find out how many stars.
Whether it's break a leg
or
leg it. Have a almost like a love-hate relationship with the Almeida. We come in wishing everything, because when it's good, boy is it good. We have seen some of the best theatre. Our most, memorable theatrical experiences have taken place in this intimate space.
Absolutely. I feel almost like a dog that's hit occasionally by its owner. Do you know, it keeps coming back all really anticipated and expected, and occasionally it gets a bit of a backhand.
And then all of a sudden we get shows that are like, what?
Yeah, then you get loved and you get completely and utterly spoiled.
But hopefully
by this amazing
one
venue. Great. So directed by Robert Icke, it marks the end of his 6 years as associate director here at the Almeida. Okay. Now he is responsible for some other completely amazing experiences we've had here, including productions like Oresteia,
brilliant,
Mary Stuart,
brilliant,
Hamlet,
with your big love interest Andrew Scott,
my other husband,
your other husband,
and also most recently he did The Wild Duck, which we loved.
Brilliant.
Yeah, I think we gave that 5.
That. Yeah,
it was stunning. The production was fantastic.
It was beautiful.
The design was amazing. The performances were great.
Yeah.
Something edgy. Now he's taken the helm again here, and he's doing what he normally does. He's an adaptation.
Right.
He likes to adapt things. This
Make
time,
it his own.
The Doctor is loosely adapted from Arthur Schnitzler's early 20th century classic, Professor Bernhardi, which caused so much controversy when it was released. It was banned in the writer's native Austria.
Wow.
It wasn't staged for many years, actually.
I like it already.
Now, it tells the story of a doctor who finds herself at the centre of a struggle and the centre of a scandal when the rationalities of science and religion begin to clash.
Like it, love it.
It sounds like a great premise, right?
Yes.
But as mentioned earlier on, guys, the Doctor herself is being played by, I'm going to go so far as to say, the greatest stage actress of our generation.
We do love her. Like
Juliet Stevenson.
She blows us away every time.
Honest to God, like no matter what part she plays in anything, she is immediately captivating. I cannot take my eyes off her, even in the smallest of roles. Now, she has worked with Icke before on Mary Stuart and Hamlet.
Yeah.
But we last saw her in
Wings at the Young Vic.
At the Young Vic.
Where she did a lot of flying.
She did. I mean,
aerial flying through the whole show and spinning.
How fit is that woman as well, to be able to get up on those aerial ropes?
Yeah.
And it was a great production. Script, but the production and her performance absolutely stunning. But she has also done films such as Truly Madly Deeply. That's a classic with Alan Rickman. Amazing. And she's been off for a little while away from our stages in the series Riviera.
Okay.
Which has been very popular as well. Quite a long one, 2 hours 50 minutes, including 20-minute intervals. The best part of 3 hours of your life, guys. And like you always say, you don't mind if it's long.
As long as it's good.
As long as it's good.
As long as it's good.
Stick around for our 30-second interval breakdown.
And as usual, to the end, hear our thoughts and find out how many stars. We've come to the interval, which means it's time for the break-a-leggers.
30-second interval breakdown.
Go, what do you think so far?
I mean, I've got to say the writing is gripping. Robert Icke has really directed this sort of like a thriller, and it unravels. Juliet Stevenson's performance at the heart of it all is compelling, convincing, and an absolute joy to watch. Pacing a little bit off for me at times.
Oh really? I think it is absolutely oozing with drama. You want stuff to happen in a piece of theatre, and boy is it happening. The dynamics of real strong characters. I also really like the idea that we don't know the sexuality or the sex or the race.
Well, the Doctor has seen us, and what's the diagnosis? I bet you're asking yourselves, and you're wondering of us, right? I mean, these puns just come so naturally to me. I don't know how I do it.
It's a part of the reviews, really. What pun you're going to come up with?
I don't know. They just like roll off the tongue. They do.
Okay, so the Almeida, we usually swing from one side to the other.
Yeah.
It's either really good or really bad.
Yes. Well, thank God it's really good.
Blimey, have they knocked it out the park?
Absolutely.
Absolutely knocked it out the park.
Robert Icke is giving himself one hell of a send-off here from the Almeida, and I think he's
amazing.
He's left sort of waves in his wake here, and he's going to be big boots to fill because he has lifted this place up and the reputation of this place. Within recent years, it's always been good, but he's become synonymous with it, and rightly so.
So where are we going to start with this? We're going to talk about the piece. There's
so
much in the piece.
Yeah, there is so much in the piece. Let's talk about the piece. So it's difficult
the
here.
Doctor, and it's the specific Robert Icke's kind of adaptation.
And it's a loose adaptation.
Yes.
I don't know the original, but I've got to say I fear talking about it because I feel like I'm walking on eggshells because
it touches on so many delicate themes.
Yeah, it does.
But we need to talk about
them. And it touches about people saying the wrong thing and being misinterpreted and being able to pin the blame on somebody for the choice of words they may have used in a certain moment. It deals with morality issues when it comes to religion and science. It talks about unconscious bias, about racism, and all of those topics which we steer away from that are taboo within our society. And as a result, I'm trying not to pass judgment on where I think this piece, what this piece has to say about those things.
It's really cleverly done. I don't think I'm giving too much away here when I kind of talk about the setup because it's all set up in the first 5-10 minutes. The drama kicks in straight away. So it's just moving. This doctor has to make an ethical decision, really. No, it's not even it's a professional.
It's a professional
decision. Almost against religion. Yeah. And this is big news, I guess. I'll come into that in a second. And then she is held accountable for that decision.
Yes.
And to the public, and then it turns into almost like a bit of a witch hunt, really.
Yeah.
And it's a real commentary on today's society and how social media can be turned against you when actually you're trying to do the right thing.
Death
but you can't
by social media.
Everyone.
Like, it literally is a lynching. It's
a witch hunt, and they use the word terms witch hunt. In fact, they just had the hunt here.
They did.
And this was a better version of that narrative.
It's a similar
I was like, there it is.
Yeah.
That's the better version of this.
Yeah.
So it felt as if there's echoes to the last piece.
There's a comedian's quote that I heard recently. I can't remember who to attribute it to, but he says these are the sorts of people that would have turned up at a public hanging. And when social media, people jump on the bandwagon and all want to sort of go against somebody. It's a social hanging. It really is. So there's been some really interesting cases recently of when the medical world has had to come up against religious beliefs and religious wants and wishes. Things like blood transfusions against religious
parents have said, no, I don't want you to give blood to my child, and then the doctors have gone, are you crazy? You mad? No, we want to. Our role is to save,
is to
life.
treat, is to cure.
And the parents' role is to uphold what they believe is going to happen in the bigger world, in their beliefs going on to the afterlife or what.
Where the medical profession would see that as condemning that patient to death.
And that conflict, that's what this piece comments on, is where do those decisions...
Who gets the ultimate
in that real murky area?
Whose responsibility is it
when
things go wrong as well? Like when the decision is made and it's not turned out to be the right decision, there's a very offhandishness at the beginning about another decision that was made that cost the life of a patient, and it's patients die. But then you put that into a religious setting and it becomes more about patients living and surviving. It becomes about their eternal souls and salvation.
Absolutely.
It becomes something that has more of a penalty. Death isn't final for these people. I mean, I would argue that maybe the parents are condemning a child to eternity of suffering, and that's what they believe, by making decisions that affect their spiritual self.
Their spiritual life, which goes on beyond their death in this current life. It's as someone who doesn't,
fuck, isn't it?
It's just as someone who doesn't subscribe to those religious beliefs, it is very alien. The piece also talks about, that's where it starts off, but then it goes on to talk about race. It also talks about abortion,
gender,
and pro-choice,
sexuality.
Gender, it's all in there, and yet how this one decision, suddenly everything is under scrutiny, things that aren't even related.
Yes.
And it's like so clever in the way that it comments on them, doesn't make it a feature,
think
and they're the best pieces. It's always the best piece of theatre when it's not just one thing.
Robert Icke is a genius, and I'd like to give a Breaker Leggers Award for Best Play.
Best play
for the Doctor.
For the Doctor, in terms of the piece, in terms of the writing, the script,
the adaptation
that he's put together.
Absolutely stunning.
So then let's talk briefly about the production. Yeah. It's the space. This is where he is great as a director. It's about the actors in the space.
Yes.
Minimal set, table, a couple of benches, and that's it.
Yeah.
They're then recreating. It's beautiful. It's about their interpersonal relationships. It's about status. It's about stillness.
Simple. Couple of typical.
Story.
Ike has got a couple of things he always rolls out. There's projection.
The camera,
he rolls that out.
Camera.
There was a long bench which we last saw in Orestea. They've dusted that off and it's back again.
Yes,
I mean, he uses the same set designer. It's Hildegard Beckler. I mean, it is typical Ike. It's Ike all over.
But it works so well.
And like I say, he does mean that you've got to focus on the actors.
Same with Mary Stuart.
You can't be distracted by the set.
Yeah, it's not big superfluous costume. The costume was appropriate and necessary.
Yeah.
It was so good in terms of the production.
Yes.
Simple.
Also constant music. I mean,
soundscape.
Would you love the
percussion?
Soundscape?
Yeah, there's percussion, the live percussionist, up center, going throughout, as well as some keys sometimes, and it just lifted and gave a beautiful soundscape to the whole thing.
Yeah.
And again, going crazy on the percussion.
I would go so far as to say is that the sound and composition it's kind of elevated for me the sense of that drama. My heart was in my mouth at times when they were having awkward conversations, and
I was tense.
the drum
I was so
echoing my heartbeat actually made me feel edgy. The power of sound. In fact, Tom Gibbons, I think, Breaker Leggers Award for sound.
Boom!
Yeah, I think definite nomination there.
Well done, Tom Gibbons.
What you've done there with just echoing that. He did People, Place and Thing and got an Olivier Award for it as well. It's that level of sound design. It's amazing.
It's really good, Leggers.
Yeah,
okay,
absolutely.
What else?
Let's move on to... Should we just mention Natasha Shivers on Light?
Yes, let's.
Yeah.
Appropriate, suitable. It was nice. Again, but very
Sounds
simplistic.
A bit boring.
Well,
appropriate and suitable.
Well, how would you describe it?
I loved the way that the characters stepped forward and they were lighted. I loved the silhouette work. I loved the strip light, the fluorescent strip lighting and the flowing. We talk about when people being taken down a corridor and looking at fluorescent lighting and it going on and off, and I love that sort of running train moments and stuff. I thought the lighting was great.
Okay, well, why didn't you say so?
Let's move on to cast now, because where do we begin? I mean, this review's already going on, and I mean, I want to talk about everybody because they are all superb.
Stellar.
The characterization of each of them, the individuality, the grasp they have over their drive.
They play more than one part as well.
But the grasp they have over their drive and their influences and their understanding of the text. Let's start right at the top.
Before you do, there's something about the cast as well that I thought was really clever, again, in the production, is that they cross sexes. They're not always in the sex that they are. They're not always in terms of religion, skin colour. You find stuff out, like you have white actors playing black actors, and I think it's probably the other way around. Black characters, and you have men playing women and vice versa. And I think it's a really clever statement on sometimes those protected characteristics that people fall into. You don't see all of them. So race, for example, you can see someone's colour, but you can make an assumption about where that is, so it's very misguiding. Sexuality you can't see. So it's almost like making a real interesting commentary on the things you can't see.
Front and centre and said
religion you can't see
because
either.
Those topics are challenging, and then as an audience we're forced to address our own biases and actual projection of ourselves on there. Such clever direction.
Which I just thought was a really interesting point as we're talking about cast members and the characters. So, start at the top.
Yeah, let's talk about Juliet Stevenson, guys. Has there ever been an interpreter of words in a script
emotion
that can bring that much emotion to a role that is such a joy to watch? Every single thing she touches it absolutely turns to gold for me, because she is the ultimate stage actress working in theatre right now.
The best I think I've seen on
She's
stage.
the best.
Even seeing the best, she is the best consistently.
Yeah.
She has such lovely work to work with on this in her professional field. She's a bit of a Rockweiler. She's quite bitter, quite nasty, very sharp.
The character, you mean, not
yeah,
her as a
absolutely.
person.
Well, I don't know as a person. If she wants to pop around for a cuppa,
She
fair
seems
enough.
lovely.
But in terms of the character she's playing, real Rockweiler in the professional capacity, and yet we see the tender side. We care so much about her come the end.
Yeah.
And the loss that she goes to, and she has this young child that comes and visits her, and they have these conversations with that you really get to see inside. It's just a beautiful spectrum and scope that she has to work with.
And she's never off stage.
Through the interval, she sits on stage
Yeah.
through the interval,
Yeah.
through the entire time, just in that moment, silhouetted
Yeah.
with percussion going on. She's just there through the whole thing.
Yep.
Break a leg a nomination.
Best actress in a play, Juliet Stevenson, the Doctor. She
Undoubtedly, she could get an award. I don't even know if the Almeida is eligible for Olivier Awards. I don't know how it works,
Yeah.
but she should be, and she should win it.
Yeah.
I say.
already.
Already?
You're pulling that out of the bag.
Go home.
Let's go home,
Everybody
guys. She could do no wrong. I mean, if you can only think of one reason to come and see this, please come and see Juliet Stevenson's performance, just to see a
Masterclass.
master at work. Absolutely.
Before we move on, there's the moment we've got the fantastic Robert Icke camera coming on.
Yeah.
She's performing to the house, women give performances, and then she sits down, and this camera comes in tight just to her face, and she doesn't move, and it's all in the face, and
Yeah.
it's blown up big, and you can just read the emotion, everything here. It's just suddenly as if she's giving the screen performance of her life that
Yeah.
is Oscar worthy,
Yeah.
and it's just amazing.
Breathtaking performance.
Yeah.
Completely mind-blowing and unfathomable how she does it.
Okay, well, we've got
Absolutely.
lots
I
of
wish
other
I'd said-
casts to talk about.
Talk
Let's
about
fly through these.
Natalie Armin, who plays the minister, former
politician.
student of
Brilliant.
the Doctor, and now finds herself in a position of authority over the Doctor, also shaping her former mentor's life, and making decisions that absolutely are critical and could make or break a person. And I loved her interpretation of that. I believe the power. I believe that strong woman in power, having to acknowledge how she got there, but also just be a decision maker. I just loved her. Paul Higgins, I know you're a fan of, as the father and the priest.
Brilliant role, brilliant parts to play with as well. He gets some real meaty stuff. I was a bit confused at one stage because he plays two fathers, but when the penny drops, boy, are his scenes great. I believed everything he was going through, and that rage and that passion at the loss of his daughter or standing up for his religion. Brilliant stuff.
Oliver Alvin Wilson as the one of the doctors, a frustrated doctor who tries to have solidarity with the main doctor.
Gets a fantastic monologue.
He does get a fantastic monologue. Also, later on, plays a TV presenter role.
Yeah, he was great.
Yeah, absolutely. And last but by no means least,
It's more than that,
I'd
surely.
like to call out. Let's say it's really difficult because they don't make it easy for you in the Almeida thing.
We've said this before. The pictures aren't with the
No,
names.
they're not with it. So, Ria Zmitrowicz. We saw her. She was in Three Sisters, I think.
Oh, was she? She
Yeah.
plays the younger daughter. Is this the not the daughter, the young girl?
The young girl.
Yeah, she was absolutely brilliant, playing kind of like a modern day child, lost teenager, lost, trying to find their way.
Anyone else from the cast you wanted to pull out?
There were more
particularly?
people, and they
Yeah.
were
There
great.
were more people in this.
Yeah, but we
it's not a
can't
small
talk
cast.
about all of them because we've already been talking for a
Yeah,
long period of
we have.
time. And if you are going to come and see it, which I hope you do,
Yeah.
then we don't want to, ruin it for you. They're
It's
all
just the
great.
skill of
The
a great
way they
director
work.
pulling that cast together and being able to make them feel and portray what they feel and portray. Break a Legger's nomination, Best Director, Robert Icke for The Doctor.
I think it's completely worthy. Just
Yeah.
the dynamic of the whole cast together, and some of those where the whole company were together. Those scenes were electric. The drama is oozing and bubbling. You're on the edge of your seat. I would too. I was breathless, like you were
Yep.
saying, and kind of like with it.
So let's round it up, guys.
We're
Wrap
gonna
it up. There's so
round
much
it
to
up.
say. Like, I think it's a piece we're going to be talking about for a long time, but you're going to want to know right now how many stars.
Before we get onto that, make sure you hit subscribe to find out about more of our reviews when they come out. Hit the like button if you like what we do, or dislike if you don't. Be something, don't be nothing.
And if you've been lucky enough to see this, what did you think? Let us know down below. So, for The Doctor, who will see you now, we are going to give 5
5
Full House
stars.
One of the best things I've seen in the past since we started this.
Yeah,
since we started doing Break a Leg.
Absolutely. The shows just keep going like this at the moment. It's absolutely magical piece of theatre. Yeah. I hope this transfers. I hope it gets another life.
I hope more people get to see it because it's a tiny intimate house.
It's that calibre of performance. Stuff like this at the Almeida usually transfers, and this deserves to transfer.
It's challenging, it's edgy, it's not a comfortable watch, guys. It's not a nice afternoon tea with your nan. It is touching on topics which are so uncomfortable at times, but as great theatre should, it's going to challenge you, it's going to start discussions. We're going to be talking about this, and I'm going to be thinking about this for a long, long time. But that's just what I think.
And totally just what I think.
What do you think? Let us know down below. We're
the Break-a-Leggers, and we'll catch you again soon.
Bye!